the Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters. Sponsored by J. Parker's, experts in helping you grow your garden for less.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. We've been saying that a lot this last week.
Have you?
Yeah. And I'm Elaine.
And I'm Julia.
And together we are still known as
the Potty Plotters.
And we've got Gareth still with us in our Potty Plotters headquarters, which is shed quarters.
Shall I make a bit of a confession?
Yeah, go on, make a confession.
Oh, it depends what you're going to confess first.
Well, I'm going to confess. Can you get closer?
Get closer, Elaine.
Get closer.
Is this like a religious confession?
No, it's not. We may sound a little bit different this time.
We may sound a little bit different. Or a couple of weeks older.
It's not that. I mean, that doesn't really age you. It's more. You may hear a little bit more of nature, Mother Nature.
Good.
It is until it starts raining. So normally when we record, I put these big foam windshields, muffs. You have to bring it down to that level, don't you? Over the microphones.
Yeah.
And I forgot to bring them. So everything's a little more open than usual. So I apologise now to the listeners.
Gareth, we have received some emails, but can you tell people how they can get in contact with us?
Yeah, so if you've got any questions or pictures you'd like to send us, the safe for work versions, please, then you can get in touch via Facegram and Instabook. Those are the two new ones we've just developed. Facebook or Instagram at Potty Plotters, or you can email us naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk. Check out the website pottyplotters.uk, and a little plea, you may remember on episode 1 we ran a little bit of a competition on our Facebook page with our sponsor J. Parker, and Morag Brown. Congratulations, Morag, you won the £100 voucher. So, Morag, congratulations.
Well, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by J. Parker's, a family-run business stretching over 3 generations who are passionate about sharing the gardening journey with you, supplying the best value bulbs, plants, seeds with unbeatable customer service. And I tell you what, I can vouch for them. I've got my finger out and I'm going to tell you all about the service
Don't wake your
that
finger
I've
at
had
me.
from them in a little while.
And don't forget, Elaine, that if you use the code PLOTCAST15, you can receive 15% off your order.
Can I say that I have? And I did. Thank you. Yeah, carrying on.
Find them by searching online at jparkers.co.uk.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Mandy from Crycher's been in touch. Now then, what she said is, love the new Plotcast. You mentioned containers, and after my weird carrots last year, I thought I might try them in potato bags. What do you think?
See, It's
not a bag made of potatoes.
No. I think of potato bags as being those like paper ones.
No, they're not.
No. The things that people grow potatoes in.
Obviously.
So you know, like we grow our potato. We've grown potatoes.
I had to make Gareth look stupid in one easy go. Hello.
You know, we've grown potatoes in the past in your bags for life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can actually buy proper potato bags from the garden centres and places like that, which really are just similar in size and do exactly the same thing. But I can't see why not, because we've worked with a charity that grew a whole garden in the bags for life, didn't they, Elaine?
Yeah.
So as long as you've got the right consistency, there's no reason you won't be able to grow them.
No, and I say go for it. But I would use those rather than potato bags because they cost a fraction of the price. So go for that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that she's asked for, and so there's a supplementary question.
Okay.
There always
And
is, isn't
on
there?
my new patch of allotment that I am gradually uncovering, I have discovered a bath. Any suggestions for what I could do with that, please, love Mandy?
Someone just been fly tipping or something.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would check with your association whether you're allowed to keep such items on your plot, because a lot
I will have to install an ensuite.
well, some sites you will find people using old toilets, old baths, and all kinds of things. On our site, it's actually a banned item. You're not allowed to bring any
Ban the
sanitary
bath.
ware onto the allotment. However, Mandy, if you're allowed to keep it, you could fill it with water and use it to keep your beers cool over the summer.
For me, I would fill it personally, and then I would grow things in it.
I mean, it's a perfect vessel, really, for growing carrots and things in, but actually filling it with water and using it as a container for water, what I would say, and if I remember, you do like to take your grandchildren down to the allotment, it can be quite dangerous if it's quite a deep vessel.
But I suppose if it's like ours, Julia, the water barrels that we have up here, we're supposed to cover all of the tops of those as well, just to stop any children, any animals falling in, etc. Yeah, any Julias, because she'd be in it, I'll tell you now. Oh my God. Anyway, there you go.
You're okay down there, by the way?
Yeah, I am, thanks. Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting on the floor.
Yeah, it makes a change this week, you being at my height rather than everything else going on above my head.
Yes, Julia.
I know what it looks like. It looks like parents' evening where they're trying to sit on the little seats.
I don't mind sitting on this. It's all about a power thing, you being on the other side of the table.
The dynamic has changed.
It's really funny. We did a talk this week where they had actually got some of them teeny tiny school chairs, and we were
really
laughing because I could just see Elaine like Miranda with it stuck on the bottom.
Yeah. I'd have carried it home, wouldn't I? Would have been able to get out of it.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parkers.
Anyway, let's talk about erections.
Shall we?
Yes, let's.
Can we be...
What, Gareth?
Can we be really careful with this one, please?
Yeah, we can, yeah. But
I know we don't want to have to put an 18 certificate on there.
No.
We're not talking about
things.
Those kind of erections.
No.
We're talking about the kind of erections we have on the allotments. So we love greenhouses.
We do.
We love sheds.
Yeah.
We love polytunnels.
Yeah.
And actually, I just want to show you my new erection there, Elaine. It's a tiny one. But
it looks like a dispenser that you have at the chip shop.
Well,
you know where they put... You know where they put all the fish and sausages and pies when they're ready?
Drain off a bit,
No, that's a very expensive cold frame, actually. But when I say expensive, I have been bargain hunting. And I have been bargain hunting, and I got that off eBay, and I wanted a cold frame, and it's perfect. It would have cost me take a breath in, everybody, it would have cost me £350 because structurally it's very solid and it's all made out of safety glass, but I paid nowhere near that. So anyway, enough of my bargain. But it is another erection on the plot because we do produce a lot of plants, don't we, Elaine? And of course they all need somewhere to move on to before they actually move out onto the plots.
Move on, move out.
Yes.
There's a new phrase.
This is the halfway house and I love it.
And the main thing that you've got to do is always make sure with your association, if we're talking about allotments, that you are permitted to do whatever it is that you do. So, I mean, I've been onto different sites where you're not allowed to have a shed, you're not allowed to have a greenhouse.
How does that work?
It's hard, actually.
It's private land, and so the landlord can stipulate whatever they want.
I get that, but you've got a plot on an allotment site and you're not allowed to have a shed on it. That makes zero sense to me.
It makes it hard work for people. I mean, some sites and councils will say, it'll attract people to go and vandalise them and this, that and the other. But it does make it hard for the plot holder because every time they go, they have to take the tools with them.
Yeah.
Or they would have to find somewhere to hide them. And of course, that's not necessarily the best conditions. So it'd be interesting, actually, if people are listening, how, if they're not allowed any structures, how they get around that, because it does make it an extra problem.
It does.
I have a feeling that when I was a kid that my dad had an allotment and it was on a site that it was very much walking distance from the house. So we're talking sort of maximum 5 minutes. I think you went down the bottom of our road, turn left and then up at the next turn in, and it was right at the top of there. And I've got a feeling we didn't have sheds and we used to have to literally traipse everything over in the wheelbarrow, which might be a reason why it lasted a season and then we went, you know what, not doing this again.
We weren't allowed, where I was brought up and the double allotment that my dad had, we weren't allowed greenhouses and sheds. None either. So I think it's a thing that happened in the past because of course it took up your digging room as well. The other thing is, Gareth, that then you are left with, if it has been a bit of a disaster and people have left, then you're left with that mess to clear up and sort out. And of course in the olden days, 60s and 70s, we didn't have the tips like we have now. So there's a lot of history obviously that goes with it all, but it'd be interesting to compare and contrast what we've got nowadays.
I mean, you're a passionate believer in the greenhouse, aren't you, Elaine? You think
I did wonder where that was going there.
A passionate believer in greenhouses.
When we we go out and talk, you say, when you are made Minister for Allotments, which you are still campaigning for.
I think they've got a lot on at the moment.
I know.
There's something about, I don't know, sorting out a war going on in Eastern Europe at the minute.
But I could resolve a lot of the problems.
But Elaine's
make them have allotments.
I think if you had an allotment, it would solve a lot of problems, tell you the truth,
but
because you get busy.
But you do say, when we go out,
Vladimir,
you say...
have an allotment. It'll stop you wanting to invade.
You always say everybody would have to have a greenhouse if you became Minister for Allotments. So, it's something you believe in.
Do think.
What kind of greenhouse would you recommend to people?
6x4.
Okay.
A small glass structure. And, it almost sounds political now, but, when you listen to people, and I know that there have been incidents and accidents in the past where people have been hurt with glass, but when you think about it, nowadays, everybody seems to be jumping up and down saying, I can't have a greenhouse because I've got grandchildren. Well, I'm still here. My sisters and brothers, they're still here. Yeah. They didn't fall through the greenhouse.
No, both my granddads had greenhouses.
But, most people can relate to, as a child, we used to go in the greenhouse and we used to pick the tomatoes and so forth. And I think, where is it that common sense should prevail? Surely it's about the way that you teach people how to behave around glass.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, how many houses have got glass in their windows?
Yeah.
Well, we don't stop kids going near them, do we? They actually live in houses.
99.9%, the 0.1% of the ones that have been smashed by kids falling through them.
But it's true, isn't it? I think we go over the top sometimes about it all, when actually it's about our responsibility to teaching people about looking after greenhouses.
Do you think people should pay a lot for a greenhouse, Elaine?
No, and if I'm Minister for Allotments, everybody'd have one. Every housing structure, the new housing now, everybody'd have one.
Right.
And take it from there.
Well, let's just work on the assumption you are not Minister for Allotments at the moment.
That's not an assumption. That's fact.
Okay.
That's fact. In Elaine's head, she is.
Yeah, I'm in charge.
Leave her into her happy land. But where should people buy one? Where should people get a greenhouse?
Well, I would always go for a second-hand one. I'm not dissing any new one because they're amazing, but they're a lot of money. But there's a lot that are being used, and we know, or not being used currently in people's gardens.
Yeah.
So
storage,
why not just put them into use? And maybe what's happening, Julia, is that people don't know how to grow their own, and that's why it is they're being used as a storage cupboard instead in the garden. And I'd keep going on about it. Maybe what we need to do is to start literally from scratch and start to tell people how to grow their own. Show them how easy it is in the right conditions with the right seeds at the right time. You cracked it.
I think we spoke about this, though, didn't we, last time, with the starter plotters that have moved on, and Tom, who has quite a busy work life, and it's about finding that balance, I suppose, isn't it? And I suppose it puts a lot of people off, because up until the COVID pandemic, everybody was really, really busy. Everybody was in the office 5 days a week, sometimes more if they're doing different shifts, and it was about finding the time. And obviously now a lot of people are working hybrid, so they have several days at home. Not everybody can do that for obvious reasons, but it's about finding that time to be able to set aside to be able to do stuff in the greenhouse, starting stuff off and getting it, and actually working out what it is you want to grow. So this podcast has pretty much been the life journey of what Gareth can't grow.
But you have
but every year we work out, okay, that didn't work and I don't really want to do that again, but I want to try this time. For example, this year courgettes haven't really worked for the last couple of years for whatever reason in our garden. They worked in the old house, but they haven't worked here. So courgettes are gone, so what do I do instead of courgettes? And it's about working that out and going, okay, well, what can I physically cope with on my lifestyle? And I'm a hybrid worker, so it's a lot easier for me, and I found it quite easy last year just to sort of go at lunchtime, I'm going to nip downstairs, have a look what's going on, I'm going to do some pinching out or whatever. But for those people that haven't got that luxury of working from home for part of the week, it's about working out what time you've got that you can then go, okay, well, I want to grow X, Y and Z, how much time will that take? Okay, it's a little bit too much, so let's scale it back. Or, okay, yeah, that'll work. And just planning that time in to be able to do that and not over stretching yourself so that you then get bored with it and go, I haven't got time for that.
And I think bored is an interesting word that you use there, because I'm smiling because I'm relating back to my dad. My dad had 7 kids. Right, and there was mum at home as well.
There's only 2 channels on the telly, though.
I know. But what I would say is, Gareth, he worked full time. He used to come home, have his tea, and then he'd be down the allotment, watering the greenhouses, sorting all of us lot out as well with me mum, and getting us to do jobs on the garden and the allotments and so on. But he carried on, and he did that for donkey's years. So is it that, or if you think about it, and I'm just going to say, how many times instead do you look at your computer, you're scrolling this, that and the other? You know, my dad didn't have that.
No.
So it is about priorities, and food was a priority in our house. Voila.
Well, there was a lot of you. Not
End of the word, yeah. If we didn't grow it, we didn't eat it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those where actually it's about looking at what you want to eat, what you can grow, what fits in with your lifestyle. So if you've got a lot of time, if you are from home every single day of the week, if you're still of working age, what can you fit into that working day to be able to do it, and the weekend, so you've still got some form of life around your family, etc. Or is it that you need certain things because they're just too expensive? So we grew lots of tomatoes last year, the ones that we really like to eat, because if you look at them in the shops, they're about £1.50, £2 a pack, and we had loads off. It's an investment at the beginning in time, but you're nurturing it, and then you're saving yourself money as you're going along. There's some things that haven't worked. We've spoken on the first episode of this about the dead carrots. They were an experiment that hasn't worked for whatever reason, that either I did something wrong or that the conditions weren't right towards the back end of last year because we had such poor weather. And I think the weather we've had may have put some people off, but if you think about it, going back to your political ambitions, food prices are going back up again. If you can help save yourself a bit of money in the long run, just with a small investment at the beginning of not spending, I mean, how much is a brand new greenhouse? £300-400, something like that? Yeah. If you can get a second-hand one and start nurturing something off, you're saving yourself money in the long run.
Yeah. It definitely is an investment. And the nice thing is that you're teaching the kids as well, and you're teaching the kids where the food comes from.
I mean, if you're clever, you can even pick up a greenhouse second-hand for nothing. So Kevin and Claire, the starter plotters, I saw one pop up on Marketplace. It was going for free. I messaged them. They went and took it down. It looks magnificent on their plot. But really, I mean, in this area in the Midlands, we're probably paying about £60 to £80 for a second-hand greenhouse, around that size. You've got to take it down yourself, but that's always a benefit, because if you take it down, it helps you remember how to put it back up again. And of course, not only can you grow things to eat, but you can actually get your plants started much earlier. So, you know, one of the frustrations that I've got this year with the starter plotters is they've only got windowsills to grow on, and of course that makes it much more difficult because the plants all bend towards the window. It makes it harder, really. I mean, I'm facing a new challenge at my house this year, the kitten. So normally I have things on windowsills all at home, and things are growing as well as things at the allotment, whereas the kitten seems to like pulling things out and stamping on everything. So, you know, a greenhouse is a really useful space.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
So we've moved out of HQ. We've come into the polytunnel.
Yeah.
And you've basically presented us with...
Oh.
No. Let's not even start with your long receipt.
Oh, that's a very long list. I thought mine was long.
Let's not start with your long receipt.
No, what are you going to start with then, Gareth?
What I'm going to start with is...
Are you going at the bottom first?
I'm going for that big clear box.
Oh,
well, it's
right.
not clear now.
No.
Because it's...
Get out, Julia. Get away from the box.
Because this goes back to something we talked about ages ago.
Yes,
but be careful about leaving that around here is all I'm going to say. Because normally cats will dig up the ground, but if there's something to prevent them, then they'll use that.
They will.
And they'll take your dahlias out.
Well, this is all exciting news, and I'm presuming you'll do a twiddly bit. Breaking news.
Well, if it works, it's breaking news. And actually, we've been out and ordered a lorry load of this stuff, haven't we? On the basis,
a lorry load of cat litter.
Yes.
On the basis of what Elaine's been feeding back to us.
That's a lot of cat litter.
Yeah,
it is. Right. Well,
normally you order like a lorry load of horse mug.
Well, no, this is the thing, because I've got a big plastic box that a lot of people, it's a storage box.
Yeah, so it's one of the bigger storage boxes. So you get those storage boxes with the lids, and they come in various different sizes.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones I class as one of the bigger ones that most people would have. 45 litres. That's a lot of cat litter.
I mean, it's brilliant because not only is it's
got a lid.
The dahlias at the moment for Elaine, when she's emptied these out, she can use it as a mini greenhouse.
I can, and I do, and that's what's really good about this. But what I did was, if you remember, we lost some of our dahlia tubers last year, didn't we? Because it was flooded up here for so long. Anyway, what we did
there's a label on your box that says Wham, and then there's a picture of a creature, and I'm trying to work out what the creature is.
Looks like a slug. I wonder.
Anyway, we're talking
thing. Anyway,
back at the quiz.
I dug some up, and then it was a bit of an inspiration moment, and I thought, hold on a minute. If we were to put dahlia tubers that have been drying off into cat litter absorbs moisture. So it's clean cat litter that Julia gave me.
I'd laugh if it wasn't.
No parcels included.
It was clean, it was in a bag, and my cats had rejected this. They're very fussy.
There you go.
Yeah. You have bred some really fussy cats, haven't you?
Yes. So I thought, right, I'm having that. So I put around 4 inches of cat litter in the bottom of the tray, and then I turned the dahlias into it. I put them in and thought, right, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Put it into the back bedroom where it's a lot cooler and where the ironing board is, so he doesn't ever go where the ironing board is.
Do you never have guests staying?
Not in that room,
okay.
no.
So I was going to say, it'd be one of those things where if I was staying at your house and suddenly I came across a box of cat litter with dahlias in, I'd wonder where I was staying. I'd probably check out very quickly.
Well, there you go.
It's not my kind of hotel.
So I put the lid on the top, and that's how it's been there since.
So I think take the cardboard box that we'll talk about in a second. That feels quite heavy.
Now then, while I did this experiment, Julia, you did your own, having mocked mine.
No,
really. Yes, you did.
Anyway, I went.
I can't remember. You probably did that.
I went down the traditional route where you dig the dahlias up, clean them up, and then I wrap them in newspaper. And to be fair,
any particular newspaper?
I know
the Sun, perhaps.
No,
because it's warmer.
No, it was any old
very
newspaper
absorbent.
I'd got my hands on, and I wrapped them up, and I wrapped them in a couple of layers. And then I stored them in the shed quarters, actually, and I thought it would be warm enough.
But not just on their own. Where did you put them? You put them in here, didn't you?
Yeah, I lifted them off the ground, and I actually put a bit of a cover over the top.
So in here being, because the listeners can't see this, so
it's a big chest.
It's like a blanket box.
This episode really is
it's like a blanket box. Anyway,
blanket. Yeah.
Ottoman, that's what I was hoping you'd come out with that straight away because I couldn't think of it. That's why I went, what would you call that?
Anyway, to cut to the chase. Cut to the chase, mine all got rotten.
And you've checked them, and what have you done with them, Julia?
I've binned them.
You've binned them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let's do the grand unveiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's bring the box over, if you can. Is it heavy?
Is it?
Right.
It's growing!
No, you're not supposed to...
Hold on a minute.
Let's take the lid off. It's growing!
Look. Round of applause for me. Look, so many of them are growing. Look, Julia, don't do that.
You're trying to sabotage them.
Look, this one here, it's got a shoot.
So is that one?
Got a shoot. Look at these.
Oh, Elaine.
Dahlias are busting out all over. Look here, look, and that one, and that one.
Ooh, can you remember the varieties?
Oh, no, I've not got a clue. I didn't label them.
You donkey.
Well, look at
so,
that. Gareth, that is a success.
So that experiment that we all mocked you for, and we can go back in, if you want to go back over to season 2 and listen to the mocking of the cat litter, it's actually worked.
Oh, yeah, we're not bothered now. Gareth, that's it. We're on, we're off, we're out of here.
Well, it's a good job we invested in that lorry load then.
To bring you back down to earth, can we do a dead good brilliant bit, please?
That is the dead good brilliant.
So we're not doing so we're moving.
No, we are doing a dead good brilliant bit, but this
is dead good
is the way forward.
And brilliant.
All I'm going to say is, Gareth, we need to leave
though.
now. It doesn't. We need to leave now. We need to leave, don't we? Because we need to now buy up all the non-clumping cat litter that there is out there for next year and store it safely.
Suddenly, I'm seeing the cost of cat litter go through.
I'm just quite excited because I can see all these shoots coming out, and I'm thinking, oh, cutting.
Well, Julia, you're there with your big fat receipt. I've got one to compare as well because we've both been buying. Yeah, well, we've got the size of this, Gareth. Well, it's about 3 foot.
Well, knowing that we kind of had problems last year and lost loads of dahlias,
so you've basically invested. So now we have more dahlias than anything.
Well, yes, because we don't forget we've got a couple of weddings that we've promised to do this year. We're doing quite a number of events.
Sounds like maybe some divorces at the rate we're going.
We've got an open day at the allotment, so we've got a lot of flowers that we need to grow to give away, and of course we love seeing the flowers on site.
Yeah, but Julia, we didn't know, interrupting you, but we didn't know this was actually going to work.
So when you reuse dahlias from previous years, do they come back stronger than they start with?
Bigger. Yeah, much bigger.
So let's do a compare and contrast with your cat litter dahlias against the new... I'm not trivialising it in any way, shape or form, but the ones you've started off in cat litter with the ones that have come clean, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. Let's do a compare and contrast. So if we do mark it out in the areas so we know which ones are which, and we can work out which ones are stronger, and then and only then can we recommend buying all the cat litter you can see in your supermarkets.
Yeah, it's back end you'll need. That's not right.
No, it's not.
But it is back end that you'll need them. So it's next year that you'll need the cat litter.
I wouldn't
but
buy
it
it
works.
now. I wouldn't buy it all now because all you're just going to do is shoot the share price of cat litter up. So let's be sensible. Don't buy it all in one go.
No, and you don't need it yet. We'll need it in November
talking
next
about
year.
things all in one go. I mean, I thought I'd ordered myself a lot of new dahlias, but look at you with your box. How many did you get?
I don't know.
Well, I bought 15. I bought 15 new ones, and I've got my list here. And I wanted to compare my list to your list because obviously I've already planted mine up. But I've planted them all up so that I've taken them home, Elaine, so that they've got a bit of heat. Now, it is early, it's March.
Go back over that again then so people understand. You have bought dahlias.
Brand new dahlia
because yours
tubers.
didn't work because you put them in the ottoman.
Aside from that, Gareth, I'd already bought new ones, so whether they'd worked or not, I've got new ones anyway.
Right.
But
what have you done with them then?
So what I've done is, of course, it is a bit early in this area to be planting dahlias. So what I've done is set them in compost in plant pots, but with the top of the dahlias still exposed.
So the top stalk, you mean?
Yeah, the top stalk and a few of the tubers exposed. And the reason I've done that, Elaine, is because I'm a bit of a tightwad, and we've got a lot of people have given us lots of spaces on their allotments as well. So I want to take loads of cuttings.
Oh, okay.
So they're in your conservatory.
Yes.
So let's tie the two together. How are you stopping Kitty getting at yours?
She's been moved. The dahlias.
She's been moved. Good luck with that one.
No. The dahlias have been moved to an area at the moment currently she cannot get to. So there's very few areas she can get to. I mean, I used to have the whole house as a rain where I could put seedlings and everything else. That has been dramatically reduced in where I can put things at the moment.
So what I'd suggest is don't have a cat.
Yeah, keep away.
It's a kitten. I mean, the cats are fine. They've lost interest in it now. But it's the kitten.
Every year. God. More plants. What's she doing to us?
So I've got my list, but then I thought, well, now you've got all yours, I shall have a look at yours, and if I've not got them, I'll be taking them and potting them up as well.
Well, you can now, Julia, because I can tell you, I feel very happy. I will say, it's the first time we've never done this before, and it's worked. Yeah. So I tell you why I'm happy. I know this will be working in the future, and when we go out and about, we'll be able to tell people all about this experiment. I've done it before where I've kept dahlias over winter in tubs. I've wrapped the tubs in bubble wrap. I've kept them in newspaper like you, and every time I've done it, they have never worked properly. This has worked.
What was the inspiration for you to try cat litter?
I just thought I don't know, I think it's with Julia talking about cats, but cat litter, doesn't it, by the very nature, absorbs moisture. So I just thought, why are we faffing around with compost, spent compost, store them in newspaper as long as they are dry, turn them upside down and so on. This is Monty Don land. This
I'd now like us to copyright that so that people don't start stealing it and they have to pay us every time they do it.
The only thing that I would say is you probably had them somewhere a little bit warm, haven't you? Because they've started to shoot now. So you may be
criticising.
No.
Yeah, she is. I've noticed this.
She is now criticising.
She was going through
my success.
She was going through counting all your shoots, and now it's gone too early, haven't you? Because you've had them somewhere warm, haven't you? Look at mine.
I was looking at them thinking perhaps just a couple of degrees colder in that room next year.
Thank you very much, Julie. Yeah.
Turn the thermostat down.
Well, you do it yourself next year. I'm not going to have my bedroom back again.
Dead Good Brilliant Bits, the Potty Plotters Plotcast.
What I can tell you is we have got some brilliant bits to share with you because we've not. That's not just the brilliant bit. What is the other brilliant bit?
This is like a plethora of dead good brilliant bits today.
It is.
Oh,
is it Julia's?
Yeah.
Go on.
This is Julia's.
This is the one last year that I did that you both of you laughed at me when I did it, but it worked brilliantly. So
that's why it's a brilliant bit.
It's a brilliant
So
bit.
we thought we'd try it again and bring it back, and we're not allowed to laugh this year.
No, because it did work, and you
Go on,
actually have to confess. So, of course, sowing lots of tiny seeds, and we know that things like poppies are tiny, but I love growing these antirrhinums now. I love growing the giant antirrhinums, and last year...
Does Auntie Rhinum like you do?
I thought I'm not going to be fiddling around with these teeny tiny little seeds and then pricking them all out afterwards. I'm just going to get myself a little pot with that I can see the seeds in.
So ramekin.
Yeah, something like that. Something, if you've got white underneath it, it really shows up the seeds. I got myself a little pot of water and I got myself a cocktail stick, and then I just dipped my cocktail stick in the water, picked up the seed, moved them into the tray individually.
One seed at a time.
You're not right. That doesn't change.
But
between last season and this season, you're not allowed to say because look at what we had earlier.
It's shiny.
It won't be.
But it does work with other things, and
does.
also if people are struggling to thin seeds out, if you do struggle with your hands, it is a really easy way of doing it. So, I mean, I planted some stocks last week, and their seeds are quite tiny. The variety that I've got. So again, it's something where it makes it just that little bit easier to pick the seed up if you use a cocktail stick with a bit of water on the end.
This feels very much like we've taken over from Blue Peter. And next episode, the Dead Good Brilliant bit is you're building a Tracy Island out of carrot seeds.
Well, it does work, and I'll give it credit where... I mean, I am one to give credit where credit's due, not to diss it and say, what are you doing that for?
I think your cat litter experiment was brilliant.
But
all I'm saying
turn the thermostat down, Elaine.
turn the thermostat down, because now you've got shoots everywhere.
I think that was the purpose of it all.
Anyway, let's bring this one back, shall we?
Yes, okay.
So we were talking about seeds, we talked about dahlias, and J. Parker's is a leading bulb and plant retailer specialising in supplying exceptional quality and value products for over 90 years. So why not let J. Parker's help you grow your garden for less and benefit from their vast experience and product range of over 2,000 products online. They're offering all listeners to the Plotcast an exclusive 15% off all orders, so visit jparkers.co.uk and use the code PLOTCAST15 at the checkout. That's PLOTCAST15 for 15% off at J. Parker's.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Well, you can't believe it, can you? Because the sun is now shining since we've come back to shed quarters. I just wanted to talk about your potatoes in the polytunnel, Julia.
Oh, right, yes, okay. So I got myself some first earlies, and even though it's only the beginning of March now, I can get some going early in the polytunnel because, of course...
Is this because you've got your chip shop there?
It looks like a chip shop.
It does, doesn't it? I think when we finished... using it as a cold frame at the main part of the season. We
put
can
some pies in.
Yeah. Julia's pucker pies.
Get off with you. No, I'm in the... Well, actually, we might have potatoes to make some chips. For the chip shops.
You see.
Some people think this stuff links itself together on its own.
No. So... As I say, because it's nice and warm in the polytunnel, the ground is a little bit warmer, I could actually get started with my early potatoes, so I am. Because by the time they've cropped and are out ready to dig out, I can then plant my tomatoes and anything else I want in after them.
Because you've got enough time.
Yes.
That's what it's all
Yeah, because,
about,
I only plant first earlies in the polytunnel.
Which will only take 10 to 12 weeks.
Exactly.
Done.
I don't want to occupy that ground for very long.
Okay.
And of course, that to me, that's the worthwhile potato to grow, because that's nice. It's nice and early. The more expensive, and the taste difference, I think, is slightly greater than if you were to do a main crop. So yeah, that's why I've set some in the polytunnel, and we should have some for the chip shop later. Well, probably around.
She's got our way of thinking.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, funny old world.
Probably around mid-May time.
Okay.
I would have thought we'll have some out there.
Just going to diarise that one.
Chips in May.
Chip in.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about this because you were moonlighting a few weeks ago.
We were,
Yeah.
So for those people who don't know, the Potty Plotters have a regular slot on BBC Local Radio over here in the East Midlands, but their colleagues in the West Midlands got in touch. I don't know how they heard about you.
Yeah.
News travels fast these days. And I was driving around thinking, I'll just give it a listen to see what it sounds like, see how it differs from what they do in the East Midlands. And somebody phoned in and asked you a question about how you get rid of ants, and I nearly crashed the car with this one. You should have pre-warned me that this was going to happen.
I didn't know I was going to say it.
Well, they phoned in and they were kind of saying, should we kill them off with this chemical and that chemical?
Or boiling water.
Or boiling water, which we thought was a bit brutal. What did you suggest, Elaine?
Well, first of all, I asked where the ants were, whether or not they were inside, outside, or in another building and structure up the allotment or whatever. And taking it on the premise that actually they were perhaps coming inside the house, I just suggested that they get a lizard.
Yeah, that was the bit that made me crash.
Well, it's there, isn't it? If you're not really sure how to get rid of them, a lizard will get rid of them, won't they? I'm just saying.
How long
So
do
an ant
lizards
eater,
live?
but
I don't know.
Also-
I'm not talking anteater.
around here, is there a lizard shop we can go to?
I did ask that. I don't know.
Is it
I don't know.
recognised pest control? I didn't know lizards ate ants, Elaine.
Oh yeah, they do.
Do
yeah,
they?
Yeah.
You've watched them at close quarters?
No,
haven't you?
I've just seen
I'm
them on
not
David
sure that-
Attenborough.
David Attenborough. Oh.
I'm not sure that a lizard would cope with the adverse weather conditions we've been suffering of recent times
I
anyway.
don't know. You see, if they've got the problem inside, Gareth, and you've got a lizard inside, I would say that maybe it is. I don't know.
What's the other tip that you give for ants? Ants in the ground and around your plants, because we can't be using lizards, can we?
No. And I did go on to say that what we do, and I've used very, very successfully, is chili powder. So you sprinkle that where you know that the ants are and the plants where they're causing a lot of disturbance, or cinnamon powder.
Ah.
And honestly, you can buy that dead cheap in certain areas of the city. And I keep a packet of it up here and I just sprinkle it round and they just disappear. They don't like it.
Oh, probably cheaper and better for us than getting lizards.
You don't know that because you've not tried it.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parker's.
It's loofah time. Loofah and cucumbers. It's that time
Isn't it
where
a
we
bit
get them
early?
going. No, it's not, Gareth, because loofahs do take some getting going, actually.
It takes some finishing from the sounds of the end of last season.
Yeah, honestly, they were the best
But we mastered
ever.
it then in the end.
I suppose you want to know where I've had my seeds from this year.
No, because I know. You've had them out, you old loofah, haven't you?
I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare. I've bought loads of them. Let's see how they compare. So I've got loads so that when we're out and about we can give them away as seeds, as seedlings, or even as plants. So now's the time to do it. Don't forget, let's test Gareth now. They are quite big and flat. The seeds are about 1/4 of an inch in length and depth as well. And so Gareth, how are you going to plant them?
On the side.
God, if I tell you what, that's amazing.
Elaine,
yeah.
you put loofahs and cucumbers. As Gareth said, isn't it a bit early? Aren't they going to get a bit... Have you got lots of room in your conservatory?
I have,
Right,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And no cats.
I am still married, yeah. So that's always good. I mean, he doesn't notice yet, but he'll
Wait till he
notice in
trips
a
up
little
over there.
while. Yeah. But now is the time to get them going because I've left them later before. I mean, we did succession planting last year, if you
we
remember,
did,
with the cucumbers.
Yeah.
And that was really successful. But I thought, no,
Successful
I am
succession.
going to... let's do it, Gareth.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd get them going in early
Yeah.
and then do some later as well. I loved the fact that we had cucumbers. When I say we did share yours, Julia.
Yeah.
And you seem to have them for months.
We did. And what I would say to any listeners, actually, if you're a bit unsure about the weather, normally you only get about 4 seeds in the
Per
pack.
pack.
So I would probably sow a couple early around now, and I'd leave another 2 for a couple of weeks later on just to get them going. You're almost hedging your bets with the weather.
I am. Yeah. But mine will be growing in the conservatory,
Yeah.
and they do take a little bit of getting going because they do like a warm environment.
So you're putting the heating
that's
on
fine. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, Gareth, it's all happening in our house at the minute. It's fantastic. Yeah,
God.
put them near the ironing board. You'll never spot them. Right, well, thanks everybody for listening and also following us on our socials. And this season, if you want to get in touch with us, just do it. Loads of people do, and we love it, don't we?
We do.
Come from all over the place, amazingly. But they
So
do.
we were looking just before we came on, or just before we hit the record button, at the distribution of people who are listening and where they're listening. And we did a little bit of this a couple of seasons ago, if you remember, where we went, if you're listening in this part of the world, get in touch. So if you're listening in a place that's not the UK, then please do get in touch, because we really like to know what your conditions are and what you're growing and how you marry up with our season. So obviously we're at the beginning of the season now. Some parts of the world are probably mid-season, so I'd like to know how you're getting on, especially if you're not in the UK.
Other than that, next time, what we're going to be talking about, Julia?
Well, we're going to be talking about water. We're going to be talking about whether all water is good for growing. We're also going to be talking about toads
Which one?
in the holes.
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, most toads.
There you go. If you get those sausages out on there, we can do it.
No, we're going to be talking about toads. They always dig backwards, don't they, toads?
Yeah,
Aren't they
yeah,
funny
and they walk,
creatures?
they
They're
don't
lovely.
jump.
I like them. I like
Yeah.
toads, but we're going to be talking about them anyway.
Toads on your plot.
We're going to be talking to a special couple of people that we know who do toad patrolling.
You see, I've got visions of a tiny, weeny, little lollipoppy kind of thing saying, "Stop toad crossing." Something like
You wouldn't
that.
be far wrong with that.
Really?
Yeah, you would not be far wrong.
Well, let's see what they've got to say next time.
Do they dress up as toads as well? When
No,
they're doing
toads
it?
are toads.
The people that we're talking
No, I think they dress
to.
up as lollipop people.
Oh, okay.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parkers, is an Amberland Media production.